Hi everyone, it is now 10:30. Let us begin. Before we hear from today's presenters, I would pass the time to Prof. Hanim as chairperson of the MyQAN Self Accrediting Universities Subnetwork to briefly talk about MyQAN and SAUS. Prof. Hanim, the floor is yours.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and a very good morning. Thank you very much, Miss Christy from Accreditation University Malaysia. I would like to welcome all of you to this webinar. Special welcome to our participants from ASEAN universities through our Alliance ASEAN-QA Association. Our warm welcome and appreciation to our distinguished speakers, Associate Professor Dr. Liew Kooi, Tuan Haji Jamaluddin Ibrahim, Associate Professor Dr. Azidah Abu Ziden, as well as our moderator today, Associate Professor Dr. Dalbir Singh, son of Dalbir Singh. So this webinar is organized by the MyQAN Self Accrediting Universities Subnetwork SAUS, which was formed based on a roundtable discussion in 2018. So this seminar is held in tandem with the objective of providing a platform for sharing good practices. And this is our second webinar, where our first webinar was conducted successfully with more than 500 participants. This sub-network is actually under the main network of MyQAN, and let me brief you a little bit on MyQAN. Slide, please. All right, next slide. Basically, MyQAN has a vision to be a distinguished quality assurance network in the region, and its mission is to be a QA network among HEIs in sharing good practices and strengthening internal quality assurance while providing interface with regulators and stakeholders. Next. This is MyQAN roadmap. So we will hope that in 2021 to 2025, MyQAN together with all the HEIs in Malaysia would gain recognition. And now we already have MOU with AUN-QA, and we are in an alliance with the ASEAN-QA Association. Next. We are currently have 65 members. We have 50 full members and 14 full-time member and 1 associate member. Next. So I would like to call upon other institutions have yet to be a member in MyQAN. There are 2 types of this membership. So we hope you can join this network and share all the good practices. You can also find this info in our website. And the membership is not an individual membership, but is an institutional membership. But the staff or in that university can actually gain the benefits of being a full-time member or lifetime member. Next slide. So one of the important events that we conduct every year is SICA, our Seminar on Internal External Quality Assurance, and there'll be one coming up next year. So please save the date. It will be from 16 to 17 of March 2021 in partnership with MYQAN and Sunway University. Next. So hope to see you then. At the same time, for your information, MyQAN also have a special group. If any of you from any university would like to join this group, you can just scan the QR code and you can join in the discussion if you need any advice from experts in terms of any QA matters. Next. So I guess that's the overall of the introduction to MyQAN. So this is the QR code, and please follow us on the social media. So basically, without at the same time, before I end this sharing, I would like to express my gratitude to MyQAN committees, ASEAN-QA Association as our alliance, and the whole organizing committees for these webinars. And not to forget to all of the viewers, thank you for your support and enjoy this webinar. Thank you. I pass back to the MC, Ms. Christy.
Thank you, Prof. Hanim, for the introduction on MyQAN. We wish to inform e-certificate will be issued to all attendees upon completing the Google form for attendance. The QR code for attendance and survey will be displayed at the end of the webinar. Allow me now to introduce our moderator for today's session, Associate Professor Dr. Dalbir Singh. Dr. Dalbir Singh received his PhD degree in computer science from Universiti Malaya in 2009. Currently, he is an associate professor, deputy director at Quality UKM, and a member of the Strategic Informatics Research Group at Universiti Kebangsaan Malaysia, UKM. His current research interest includes human-computer interaction, e-learning technology, quality models and impact study, and strategic planning for information systems. He has led several funded research projects and published numerous academic publications. Besides that, he also has a keen interest in quality assurance for academic programs. I will now pass the time to Associate Professor Dr. Dalbir Singh.
Thank you very much, Ms. Christy. Welcome, everyone. A very good morning to our distinguished speakers and fellow viewers. Before we start, thank you to all viewers for finding time in your busy schedule to visit today's event. Shall we start? That's great. Currently, open and distance learning, ODL, has caught attention of various higher education providers, HAP, especially during these challenging times of COVID-19 crisis. However, the fundamental question arises on the management and assessment of an ODL program accreditation. To answer this fundamental question this morning, we are honored to have our three speakers with us. First, Associate Professor Dr. Andy Liew Kooi, Pro-Vice Chancellor, HELP University. Second, Tuan Haji Jamaluddin Ibrahim, President, ASEAN-QA Association, Universiti Teknologi Petronas, UTP. And third, Associate Professor Azidah Abu Ziden, Deputy Director, Center for Development of Academic Excellence, Universiti Sains Malaysia, USM. Now, without further ado, allow me to introduce the first speaker. The first speaker is Associate Professor Dr. Andy Liew Kooi. Associate Professor Dr. Andy Liew is currently the Pro-Vice Chancellor in HELP University. He has held senior administrative positions in various conventional and open distance learning higher education institutions in Malaysia. He is one of the pioneer staff who worked closely with the founding members in establishing two tertiary institutions in Malaysia, namely Alliance University College of Medical Science and Wawasan Open University. His field of interest and specialization are quality assurance in higher education, delivery of tertiary education through the conventional mode as well as open and distance learning ODL mode, strategic planning of the university, open education resources OER, massive open online courses MOOCs for online learning, e-learning, and accreditation of prior experiential learning. And this is quite interesting, breeding and cloning of plants. He is a resource person and appointed assessor under the Malaysian Qualification Agency and Ministry of Higher Education. Through his involvement at various international level organizations and projects, he has built an extensive network with peers from renowned ODL institutions across Asia and Commonwealth of Learning, International Council for Open and Distance Education, and UNESCO Bangkok. Yes, it is great to have you here, Prof. Andy. Now, I would like to invite our first speaker, Prof. Andy. The floor is yours.
All right. Testing 1, 2, 3. Can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
All right. Okay. Selamat pagi dan salam sejahtera. And thank you very much, Dr. Dalbir, atas mada manismu yang and of course your generous introductory remarks yang telah mengusik jiwa saya. Orang berbudi, kita berbahasa. So izinkan saya melafazkan serangkap pantun bagi membelai jiwa of our colleagues this morning. I think there are about 170, the last number I saw in the participants list. And hopefully this pantun will membelai jiwa kita bersama sebelum we continue the journey of ODL di pesada online ini. Anak pulut ketupat tak jadi. Kalau rendang, kacau rendang hangit sekuali. ODL buah mulut sejak tadi. Akreditasi disebut berkali-kali. Now, in the next 10 to 15 minutes journey, are we looking at the slides on the objective now? The next slide, please. Yes, thank you. In the next 10 to 15 minutes, the objective slide, please. Previous one, thank you. In the next 10 to 15 minutes journey, I will share some experiences, concerns, and views on the management and assessment of an ODL program. We will also be looking at some of the critical success factors, which is crucial to yield positive results. Next, please. Now, these three alphabet, or rather the acronym for Open Distance Learning, ODL, are very, very powerful alphabets, just three mere alphabets. It changes the traditional brick and mortar way of delivering higher education. And by now, I believe many institutions in Malaysia are quite familiar as to what ODL is all about. Now, there are three small icons that you can see in the box here, anytime, any place, anywhere. It basically looks at promoting lifelong learning through three main pillars in ODL, which is flexibility, accessibility where it widens the access, and multiple modes of delivery where the content can be delivered through various modality. Next, please. Now, once upon a time, this is like a storytelling. ODL degree program is considered as a substandard degree. Now, merely because the learning support services at that point of time were deemed to be not at par with the conventional system. And this has led, or even to the extent that during job interview, employers will rule out the ODL candidates. So these were some of the treatment given to ODL graduates way in the past, but not now anymore. Next. So the question now that runs within the space of our mind is, why is ODL gaining its momentum in higher education landscape? Of course, the greatest contributor would be the COVID pandemic. We all understand this COVID pandemic has changed our lives completely. It has brought many challenges in our life, but as we would say, there is always a blessing in disguise or hikmah behind all this. This COVID pandemic has accelerated two things: the disruption and transformation of our higher education. And through this, a lot of us have been doing this online classes and online interaction engagement with students. And this is, in fact, one of the many various modes of ODL. So in short, ODL opens door to opportunities and possibility. And from here, it starts to blur the distinction between the brick and mortar traditional institutions, where we are now not only looking at physical face-to-face interaction, but also into a blended learning approach. And the blurring of this traditional institution and online degree institutions are becoming a reality now. Now, the other reason why ODL is gaining its momentum, it is because of the advent of technology, the advancement of technology, where it has actually enhanced and offered a better learning experience and student engagement. And of course, the other data that are presented here are just for our knowledge to show the online learning, which is the open distance learning, is definitely gaining its momentum. Next, please. So the question now is, what is it in the environment, or what is the enabling environment in Malaysia that actually has been promoting this ODL? And ODL is gaining prominence in Malaysia partly because of the transformation of the educational culture in our home country here. And we all are very familiar with these two documents. And the regulatory bodies, none other than the MQA and MOHC, are promoting the delivery of ODL through the blueprint. And I hope we are also familiar with all the 10 shifts, particularly shift number 9, where it is about globalized online learning. And also the development of a structured standards to guide higher education institutions in implementing ODL program. And it is no longer confined to open universities, but also to conventional universities in Malaysia. Next, please. Now, having reached this stage of deliberation, perhaps one pertinent question would be, how do we classify a program that we are offering in our institution as an ODL program? I will not go into the granular details on how to work out this, but the yardstick is very simple. At the program level, if more than 60% of the courses are conducted via ODL, then that program is deemed as an ODL program. And at the course level, we'll be looking at the student learning time, the SLT. And we all understand that 1 credit is equivalent to 40 notional learning hours. So if 80% of the SLT on the credit or the credit of the course are delivered through ODL or through the online learning, then that course is deemed as an online or ODL course. And collectively, this would add up to the 60% that we mentioned earlier. Now, probably to share with you one interesting facts here. In Malaysia, it is more than 60% of the course. In countries like Hong Kong, the Hong Kong Council for Accreditation of Academic and Vocational Qualifications, their definition of an ODL or online program is even more more generous in a way. It is not at 50%, it's not at 60%, but 50% of the instruction delivered online. That is where the program will be deemed as a ODL. And of course, there are other factors that string along. Next, please. So in managing and assessing an ODL program in an accreditation exercise, we will be looking at, actually the focus will be on these two primary areas, the QA standards. After all, accreditation is about meeting certain standards of quality. So over here, when we manage and we assess, we'll be guided by a set of quality assurance standards. And this has been outlined very, 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 very clearly and minutely in the COPA. And in any quality assurance practice, the principles of philosophy of QA is all about developmental approach, which is actually on the CQI, continuous quality improvement. So when we manage and assess, looking at management and assessment of ODL program, this would be the two pillars that will be guiding the whole processes. Next, please. So if we look at this simple diagrammatic representation, ODL is at the center of all these processes. And we got to examine the standards and quality from the time the learners enter the institution. As you can see at the 12 o'clock of the diagram here, you will see access. So from the time the learner enters the institution until the time the learner is awarded the specific academic qualification, we got to examine the standards and quality at every single level here. So in brief, this is also equivalent to a diagram where most of us would have seen it before, learner-centered, because we are no longer looking at a teacher-centered education now. It is more on learner-centered. That means whatever learning support services will revolve around the learner in the core of the diagram. So this is another aspect that we really got to filter out every single processes that are in there. Next. Next slide, please. So for an ODL program to fulfill its mandate, the following support system must be put in place. Or I would rather, or put it in a different perspective. These are some of the key features that if you are running an ODL program, the quality standards must be properly embedded in our learning support services or the management and assessment of an ODL program. We certainly need a department to drive the delivery of the ODL program, looking at the various learning support services. And the second, obviously, would be the IT-related infrastructure. And of course, when we're talking about ODL, the time spent between for the interaction of the learners and the teachers are very, very minimal. So if we set a very minimal rate, what would substitute the presence of the teacher? The one that would substitute the presence of the teacher is none other than this entity called SIM, self-instructional materials. And these self-instructional materials are very, very important because they are the teacher in the absence of their physical presence. So when we design the self-instructional material, basically it must be self-contained, self-explanatory, It must be self-assessed. It must have this self-pacing mechanism and a few other characteristics. The next would be definitely a digital platform for the delivery in terms of engagement, in terms of populating the learning materials. This is definitely a must if you're conducting an online degree or an open distance learning degree. And the resources would not be limited to the physical resources anymore, where we'll be looking at a digital library accessible 24/7. And tutorial support services, regional centers, and last but not least, definitely it is the capacity building of the staff. Next, please. So in conclusion, to manage and assess an ODL program, we got to focus on three major areas. Number one, on the learning resources. Number two, we need to be able to harness technology and enable innovations to drive teaching and learning. And definitely the last part would be on the student engagement. Because in many ODL institutions across the globe, especially open universities, one of their greatest challenges is the attrition rate of the students. Meaning, first semester you may recruit 100 students, the next semester you will only see 60 of them retaining in the system. So how do we ensure the attrition rate is at the lowest level? This is where student engagement plays a very, very crucial role here. Bak kata pepatah, kalau mudik sudah sampai ke hulu, kalau hanyut sudah sampai ke kuala. So to conclude this, let me hadiahkan serangkap pantun untuk kenangan manis bersama. Rios kampung kita berkumpul, bertukar pendapat, bertemu minda. Pandangan ramai bersama disimpul. ODL mantap tegak membina. Thank you very much. Over to you, Dr. Dalbir, moderator.
Thank you very much, Prof. Andy. Very impressive presentation. Yeah. Okay. Now I would like to invite our second speaker, Tuan Haji Jamaluddin. Allow me to introduce the second speaker. The second speaker is Tuan Haji Jamaluddin Ibrahim. Tuan Haji is the Senior Manager of the Quality Management Department at the Universiti Teknologi Petronas UTP, who is responsible for academic and non-academic quality matters. He is also responsible for the development, implementation, maintenance, and continual improvement for the University Quality Management System, QMS, which is designed based on ISO 9001, national and international accreditation body, quality assurance standards, and guideline and regulatory requirement. As a self-accrediting university, he performs his duties as a mini accreditation body, a mini MQA, some sort of like that, to carry out academic program provisional accreditation, full accreditation, and re-accreditation. He is also the person in charge for international audit that includes ISO 9001, program accreditation, self-accreditation, research and development such as MIRA and high COE, Setara, Petronas, Integrated Assurance Program, IAP, and etc. He also spearheads the University Quality Awards on a yearly basis. He holds a master degree in quality and productivity improvement and ISO lead assessor certificate recognized by the Institute of Quality Assurance, IQA UK. He is the president of ASEAN-QA Association and the secretary for Malaysian Higher Education Institution Quality Assurance Tuan Haji Jamaluddin. Now, I would like to invite our second speaker, Tuan Haji Jamaluddin. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much to our moderator, Dr. Dalbir. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and very good morning to all of you for your time to ending this webinar. Even I'm a Malay, but I'm not good in pantun. But I would like to share peribahasa orang Melayu, ya, sama dia kata. Kalau kita ada ilmu, jangan kedekut ilmu, ya. Jadi kalau kita kongsikan ilmu kita akan bertambah. Tapi kalau kongsi duit kita akan berkurang. So lebih kurang is if you share your knowledge with others, then you enrich your knowledge in the topic areas. Yeah. Okay. Today I will talk on the management assessment ODL program accreditation. In the spirit of sharing of the knowledge with all of the participants here, let me share with all of you the history overview of ODL program at UTP. Next, please. Next, please. Okay. There are two regulatory bodies, obviously this ODL. The first one is MYQAN. MYQAN, we look at the accreditation of the program, and KPT, we look at this approval for the venue, the approval of the program. So for you, like UTP, we are registered with MYQAN as a conventional university, not offering open or for online distance learning, open distance learning courses to the students. For that matter, we run our program as conventional program, but we want to change our program to run in ODL mode. Then we need to apply the MA requirement. One of it is our program must obtain full accreditation first from MPA, and mentioned by Dr. Andy just now, you must have a platform, a learning management system LMS, and we need a program leader for each program. And after that, we need to apply to MPA for professional accreditation or pass using this COPA ODL standard. But at KPT, we need to have a regional center to run this ODL program, as mentioned by Dr. NG just now. So we need to give justification to KPT why you need to have this regional center. And also mentioned by Dr. NG just now, you need a team, a management team to market, to give support services to the student. And you need to have adequate facilities. For example, library, digital library, a computer room, meeting room, final exam room, together with SP as well, strong room, and etc. And you need a planning for program offered at regional center. That means you need to plan what program you want to offer at the region center, what program, how many program. And for that matter, you need to have projection on student and learning instructor projection for the 5 years, and also learning instructor projection for the 5 years. Yeah. Then you submit to KPT to apply to obtain approval for the region center. Then KPT will look at your document. If they satisfy, they will come and visit your region center and carry out an audit. So as a QA center, we both involved during the professional accreditation, also involved during program center approval from the KPT. Also, we also involved. Yeah, we are coordinating this. Next, please. Next slide. Okay, this is our team. Our team to oversee our regional center, also the ODL program. So we have regional center manager. We have executive admission, executive examination, executive examination and scheduling, executive student admission, executive funding and training. And we have also support from executive ICT and facilities. And also team of program manager to run the program. So we need to show this. You have this management team to run this your ODL program at the regional center. Next, please. Next. So this is our region center. We call it CAPE, Center for Advanced Professional Education, located at 16th floor at Menara Bank Rakyat, Kuala Lumpur. Yeah. So this is the picture. We have the classroom. We have several classrooms. We have discussion room. We have the lounge. We have the IT. We have the library, online library, and we have the meeting room. So with the capacity of 30 megabytes internet with LAN and Wi-Fi access. Next, please. Okay, we have UTP. We have integrated student management system. We call it U Campus. Everything inside there, we respect the student record, and it's integrated with the learning management system. You see in the box there. So as a student, you can register for course and view registration summary online in the course registration icon, the link there. And also integration with ULearnX. ULearnX is our platform for our ODL program. And also the student can apply for course exemption, exchange or program. Every day is there. You want to make a payment with finance. You want to look for fund and scholarship also there. Alumni also, enrollment also there in our student management system. We call it U Campus. Next, please. And this is our learning management system, LMS, under the platform ULearnX, learning management system. So there, we will able to manage activities, sometimes assignment, chat. If it is a discussion between the tutor and the student, a feedback, also a forum. There also big blue button. This is more advanced online teaching and learning. And we have communication for the student and the lecturer sending message. And also we're able to tracking the progress of the student, whether they have completed the assignment or not, also the course report, and also can manage the grade, the student grade report, grade setting, manage grade, grading method, and also managing courses, add a new course or upload courses on the behalf of it and at the side of the lecturers. Next, please. Okay, with respect to ODL, UTP were also lucky because we have strategies in teaching and learning to enhance UTP competitiveness. So starting 2018, we have developed a center because Center for Excellence in Teaching and Learning, with the philosophy to transform our teaching from conventional way to the blended learning. Yeah. If you can see here from number 1 to number 2, system and structure in managing teaching and learning. And we want to position our educator to level 4, whereby our educator, our lecturer, they carry out research in teaching and learning, and they come up with new classes, and they're able to publish in the paper. And with a focus towards student-centered learning or learner-centered learning, as mentioned by Dr. Andy just now. So we have two types. On the side of lecturer, we have is transformative teaching, and on the side of the student, we have immersive learning. So the impact to learners and teachers, teaching and learning in 21st century will be the learners and students will be more confident. They have self-confidence. They will become more independent thinkers. They will become self-directed learners and active contributors, and become conscious citizen. At the end, it become social, emotional, intelligent. And to the teachers, they will be more collaborative, become more collaborative. They become more critical thinking, analytical, scientific, judgmental, and will be more creativity, and you have cultural skills. Yeah, this is our strategies, teaching and learning to enhance UTP competitiveness. So when it comes to COVID-19, early this year, we are almost ready because some of our lecturers who are teaching undergraduate students, they have already, migrate to this so-called blended learning. Next, please. Okay, when we talk about ODL, there must be a standard that we have to follow. Yeah, or COPA ODL or COPA DOL. It is a code whereby they have area evaluation, standard area evaluation that the university has to comply. Similar to COPA as well, they have 7 quality areas of evaluation. Whether you go for professional accreditation, full accreditation, compliant audit, or re-accreditation, in UTP we call it re-accreditation, or CI of the program. Next, please. And the area, 7 areas similar. Area 1, program development and delivery. Area 2, assessment of student. Area 3, student selection and support services. Area 4, academic staff. Area 5, educational resources. Area 6, program management. Area 7, program monitoring, review, and CQI. Next, please. Okay, they are different in COPA ODL 2012 and COPA ODL 2019 in the new revision 1. So in 2012, they have 9 areas of quality assurance, but in 2019, they have 7 areas quality assurance, which is similar to COPA 2.0. Yep. Next, please. Okay. If you go for professional accreditation for ODL program, you need to comply, you need to address all the requirements in document MQA01 ODL for professional accreditation. When you submit for ODL program for professional, you have to comply to MQA01 ODL. If you apply for full accreditation, you have to submit a document in accordance with MQA02 ODL. So as the university, yeah, you can see the table here. When you submit for accreditation, you need to refer to column number 3. Yeah, you need to answer the survey, the question, and provide evidence. But the SSO will assess you based on the survey guideline and the column, the last column, the column 4. Yeah. So there is the column 3 information provided by the institution, and column 4 the analysis and judgment of panel assessor must make about. Okay, next please. Okay, how we manage program accreditation in UTP. So every year, at the end of the year, for example, in the month of November, we have to identify programs which are due for full accreditation or re-accreditation. So here in template here, we have already identified the program. For example, program under EAC, professional body that due for new cycle. Under EAC, they call new cycle is Bachelor of Mechanical Engineering, Bachelor of Petroleum Engineering, and will be audited for ISO. This one every year is Petroleum Engineering and Management Humanities. Now you look at the bottom table, we group it, Group A, Group B, and Group C. Yeah, for Group A is re-accreditation. So whereby we have to prepare MQA02 or for full accreditation, or MQA04 for re-accreditation, starting December 2020 until January 2021. And the department chair have to nominate the assessor by 31st December 20. And then appointment of assessor will be coordinated by QMG, my department, by 15th of January 21. And the department, the program owner must submit the evidence by the document MQA04 for the accreditation by 31st of January 21. And the audit will take place. Yeah, the assessor will audit our program. These assessors are from the external. Yeah, from the external. So on the February, then after audit by the assessor, then we have to table the assessor. The assessor have to table the audit result, the assessment result to the UTP Accreditation Council Committee in March 2021. The accreditation. So our ODL program will be fall under Group B, which is under full accreditation, because some of our ODL program will be due for full accreditation. So the department, the program has to prepare document from December 20th until May 2021. Yeah. So the department chair have to prepare the document until 30th of April 21, and then QMG coordinates appointment of assessor by 15th of May 21, and then documents should be submitted to quality management system. We are as the mini MKA by 31st of May 21, and the audit or assessment by the assessor, this one extended assessor, June and July 2021, and the deliberation of the assessment result will be August 2021 at UTP at its council. After UTP at its council, then quality management will we consolidate the finding or recommendation from council, then present to the Senate for approval. Yeah. So our ODL, I think for this year, next year we're going to have about 5 programs under ODL ready for full accreditation, and the department have to prepare document MQA 02 ODL. Yeah. So when we appoint assessor for this ODL program, we need to appoint 3 assessors. At least one must be the ODL expert, 2 from the program expert. If you do have 3, minimum 2 is acceptable. So our practice is all the assessors are from the external members, or external, not from UTP, from the external, from other universities. Next, please. So this is in detail. Group A, Group B, and Group C, that we are going to conduct a program, full accreditation and re-accreditation for next year. Altogether, we have about 25 programs. Yeah, and we have to supply the program name, under which department, who is the program leader. It is whether it's a master by research, or it is under re-accreditation or full accreditation. For next year, we are going to have full accreditation and re-accreditation. Altogether 25 programs. Next, please. That is our process for professional accreditation. Yeah. First, the department have submitted MQA 01. Yeah, because it's professional, they have to submit MQA 01 document to KMG. Then our department, quality management, will look at it, review with it, and compile and check whether the certificate is not adequate. If not adequate, then we submit it back to department. If adequate, then we submit the document to the assessor to assess the document. This one is it's not involved visit, not involved site visit. Then they are given about 10 working days to complete the report. 10 working days. After that, after the report will be sent for us to quality management system, and the lead assessor for that specific program, we have to table the report to the UTP Action Council, and upon recommendation from UTP Action Council, then we present to the Senate for approval. Once we obtain approval from the Senate, then our registry will send a letter application to MKA for pengakuan aksesi sementara. After obtaining pengakuan aksesi sementara, then we submit to MOHE for program approval. Once you obtain program approval, after that we can advertise and recruit students. This is professional accreditation. Next one for full accreditation. Next, please. Full accreditation also similar, but the only thing is the department have to prepare MQA 02 document and submit to us. We also have to check, we compile and check. If adequate, then we will send to the assessor. Yeah, the assessor. For full accreditation, we want the assessor to pay a site visit to the program for full accreditation. Yeah, if not permissible, then we can have only that we can have remote. Once the assessor completed with the assessment, we give the assessor about 5 working days to complete with the report. Then after that, KMG will coordinate with the assessor, and the lead assessor have to present the audit report or assessment report to UTP Council. Then upon recommendation by the Council, then we present to the Senate for approval. Once the Senate approval, then registry, our registry department will submit the result of this Subnet to the MQA to register to MQR portal. And also to obtain the certificate for full accreditation. This is for full accreditation. Then next one, re-accreditation. Next, please. The next one is in COPA 2.0, they call it compliant evaluation, but in UTP we call it re-accreditation, similar as well, process. But for this time, the program or the department have to prepare MQA04 and submit to us. We will compile and check the document for adequacy. If okay, and we give to the assessor the document. And due to COVID, we only have remote audit on this one, remote assessment by the assessor. So if no COVID, no pandemic, we treat re-accreditation also like a full accreditation, whereby there will be a visit from the assessors. We give the assessor 5 working days because involve site visit, 5 working days to complete the report. And then after that, the lead assessor have to table the report to the UTP Accreditation Council. One UTP Accreditation Council recommend for accreditation, then we will table to the KMG, we table to the Senate for approval. Then after that, after obtaining approval, we only update MQA on the re-accreditation. So I would like to highlight here, our assessor here, all of them from external, not from UTP. And our UTP Accreditation Council also is a neutral body, whereby the chairman is from external, and we have another fixed 5 members also from the external. So because we want to maintain the independent as well as the quality of our program. So this is next slide, please. I think that's all my presentation today and my sharing today. I seek your apology for the interruption just now. Power cut off unexpected. Then I give back to the moderator, Dr. Dalbir. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Tuan Haji Jamaluddin. A very useful presentation from Tuan Haji Jamaluddin, especially for those institutions which are looking to accredit their ODA programs. Okay, now I would like to invite our third and last speaker, Prof. Azidah. Allow me to introduce the third speaker. The third speaker is Associate Professor Dr. Azidah Abu Ziden. Prof. Azidah is a senior lecturer in School of Educational Studies, Universiti Sains Malaysia. She is currently the Deputy Director of the Center for Development of Academic Excellence, CDAE, USM. Her research interests are in the area of instructional design, e-learning and m-learning, educational technology, ICT and multimedia, and 21st century learning. As a national master trainer, she conducts training to educators in the area of instructional design, e-learning approaches and tools, as well as new approaches of teaching and learning national and internationally. Dr. Azidah is the recipient of the prestigious Anugerah Akademik Negara 2017, Anugerah Pengajaran. She has also been awarded Anugerah Ketokohan Honorable Award USM 2017. She was also the recipient of Gold Award for the Best Teaching Learning Model blended in Learnex Impact Award 2018 in Melbourne, Australia. Prof. Azidah has been appointed as an MQA assessor in the area of ICT, multimedia, and ODL since 2012. Great to have you here, Prof. Azidah. Now, I would like to invite our third speaker, Prof. Azidah. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Dr. Dalbir. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and a very good morning, everybody. Thank you to MyQAN for having me here today. So today I'm going to just talk about my experience as a MQA as panel assessor. My experience on going to, let's say I've been given a task to accreditate a professional or full program accreditation for MQA. For ODL, what did I do actually during the program accreditation? All right, so this is my perspective and what I have done during the process. Next slide, please. Okay, so for ODL accreditation, we have two types of institution that applying for ODL program, which are ODL institution. Okay, ODL institution are the institution HAIs which are like open universities. They are all into ODL. Most of their programs are ODL programs. So then we have non-ODL institution like Tuan Haji just now, UTP, it is a non-ODL institution. There are institutions that, non-ODL institution that apply for ODL program. This is allowed, but the non-ODL program has been established first in the conventional program. Then that particular program can apply for ODL. All right. So for me, as an assessor, from my experience as an assessor, for ODL institution, mostly they are ready. Okay, they are ready for ODL. Okay, but the main concern sometimes to the non-ODL institution. All right, so next. All right, so while assessing the ODL program, we are looking at the same process like the conventional program. Okay, we are looking at area 1, 2, 3, up to 9. However, okay, the first thing as an ODL assessor, I always look at the readiness of the program to embark on ODL. Okay, they need to be ready to embark on ODL. Sometimes they think, okay, the institution thinks that the program is ready for ODL. However, when we go and check, we can see that they are not really ready. So sometimes what MQA does is that they ask, when they apply for the institution, apply for provision accreditation, they ask us to go just to look at the ODL part. Okay, when they apply for ODL accreditation, we sometimes the ODL assessor was called to the institution to have like a look at their readiness. Okay, the readiness of their program, especially, okay, whether the program are ready to embark on ODL, as well as the academic staff. Are the academic staff ready for ODL? Are the students ready for the ODL, as well as the support system? Okay, the support system meaning that the system, the support staff and the library and so on are ready to embark on ODL. So it is not only the program. Okay, the program is ready, but if the academic staff is not ready, the students are not ready, and the support is not ready, then the program actually is not ready to embark on ODL, because ODL is special. It is special because we are looking at different ways of teaching and learning, different ways of assessment, different way of approaching the students, approaching how the academic staff interact with the students, how program is comprehensively beautifully designed for all the teaching and learning assessment and everything. Okay, next. All right. So the ODL program, as Prof. Andy mentioned just now, we are looking at Shift 9 on the Malaysian education blueprint, which is globalized online learning. So we are looking at most of the institution when they embark in the ODL program, they are actually looking at globalized online learning, whereby I have actually assessed some ODL program in Malaysia where they have students outside Malaysia from the Middle East, from China, and so on. So, it is a good thing about ODL. Institution will be able to cater the needs of various students overseas as well as in Malaysia. All right. So, when a program would like to apply for an ODL program, we like to go into to embark on ODL program. So they should have actually do a need analysis, whether the program has demand to do ODL program. Is there a need? And are there a needs for doing the ODL program? Okay, so and then they have to go to appropriate process to design and develop the curriculum. For example, if they have the curriculum ready for conventional, they have also to go through their curriculum and have a look whether it is suitable to be delivered or to be offered via ODL. So because the delivery, the process in implementing ODL is not similar to the conventional, even the teaching and learning should be different. And the curriculum, the way how the lecturers, the support staff, the management looking at the ODL program should be different as well. Okay, so and then we are looking also at the stakeholders. Okay, the stakeholders of the program, the parents. Okay, for example, or the students or the experts outside. The expert on that particular program, are they ready for ODL? Okay, so meaning that also we or the program need an ODL expert to advise them on how to conduct or how to be an ODL program. Okay, so they cannot just like, okay, we would like to do an ODL program, let us start. No, you or the program or the institution need to look for an ODL expert to advise on how to do to embark on the ODL program. Okay, my experience after COVID-19, during the PKP1, MCO1, all right, so everybody in Malaysia had embarked on the ODL because we have to. Okay, the university, the higher education, higher institution education, they had to embark on online learning. And then after the MCO1 stopped, there are a few institutions who applied for ODL program, and I have been, I went to some of them, and then what we found that when we went to the institution, the institution, the institution actually was not ready for ODL. So we have to advise on how to do ODL and so on, because they think that ODL is just the change of the name, okay, the delivery process. Actually, it involves everything in the program, okay? So, and then the program has to look at the requirements of the discipline of the study. For example, if an engineering course, for example, would like to embark on ODL, so are there any requirements from the professional bodies and so on, and how are they going to fulfill the requirement of the professional bodies? even counseling, for example, counseling, it is in, it looks like it is not, it is not an engineering, but it is in education. However, there are professional bodies that that mention that in their regulation that it shouldn't be, the practicum shouldn't be done online and so on. So the requirements of the discipline of the study need to be looked at. All right. And most importantly, the ODL system, is it ready? Okay, we cannot, when we go for assessing the program, we need to see, we the assessor need to see the ODL system, whether it is ready or not, and what are the, we are going to look at the system. You know, you need to give us the username and password, and we are going to go through the system thoroughly. Okay, and the program need also an ODL coordinator, a separate, okay, coordinator for the ODL program. You cannot say that he or she, this person is the coordinator for the program. If he is or she is not into ODL, he or she cannot be the coordinator. Next slide, please. All right. So the ODL system, okay, actually when we look, when we assessing the program, the ODL system need to be ready, developed and established. Okay, we need to see it is developed and established and has been tried by the lecturers. Okay, and they have tried to use it and go into it and do something inside it. All right. Okay, and then we would like to see the mode of interaction. Okay, if the platform is ready, we would like to see the interaction between the student and the lecturers, whether it is synchronous or asynchronous. Okay, synchronous meaning that they will have the face-to-face online interaction. So we need to see the timetabling for that. All right. So meaning that they can do it synchronously. We hope that there should be some component of synchronous interaction. Also, the lecturers can also prepare asynchronous, which is they need to prepare the materials, for example, videos, assessment, interaction with the student inside the online platform. So we are going to look at both synchronous and asynchronous and how you do it, or how the institution do it for ODL. So we need to see the how it is done. All right, we need to see that the proof of it, the synchronous and asynchronous interaction with the student is being done inside the online platform. Okay, so we would like to advise the institution to make sure that whatever activities that you have is being done in online platform. Or say, okay, some lecturers will say, okay, I like to do my interaction outside the online platform. Maybe I would like to use Facebook. Maybe I would like to use other LMS, for example, at Modo, for example. Yes, you can do that, but please link it to the online platform so there are proof that it is being done. And when we go and assess your program, we will be able to click and see that the interaction is being done outside the system that being developed by your institution. All right. We also need to see that the system or the ODL program have system support and trainings. Okay, meaning that, all right, everybody need to be given trainings. The academic staff, the students, and also the support need to be given trainings. For example, sometimes academic staff, they are not ready for to do online classes or to develop online materials. So how the institution support them? You must give trainings, you must give them some videos, or you give some manuals, whatever, there should be a proof that you have been given, the institution have been given trainings to the academic staff as well as the student. Okay, how did you approach the student? How do you train them to use the online platform? So how did you tell them, okay, how to access their marks, how to do their assessment, how to access everything, okay, library, and so on. So, and the support staff also need to be trained to be ready of all the questions asked by the academic staff and the students. So it is a very comprehensive environment in the ODL system. All right. So, and then when the lecturers prepare their learning materials, their videos, actually we would like to see that they create their own videos, they develop their own videos, their content and so on, because they need to be prepared and consider copyright. Okay, meaning that they don't simply take videos from YouTube or images from Google and then put it in your online platform and so on. So they need to be also trained and prepared to consider copyright materials and so on. So the ODL system is a very comprehensive system to be used by everybody in the program. Okay, next. All right. So we would like to see how does information made available to academics and students. All right. So meaning that how to access, all right, trainings, for example, the content. So how do the academic staff deliver the content? What are the activities? What are the materials? Okay, variety of assessment, and bear in mind about plagiarism. The ODL system should have turned it in, for example, okay, how the lecturers check the assignment of the students. It should be there in the ODL system. All right, and then for the students, how do you do orientation? Okay, to the students, for example, because they are in China, for example. So how the institution do the orientation to the student, how can they access, okay, the platform and so on. So they also need training. Also, we are looking for innovative teaching and learning activities. Okay, it is very important that the teaching and learning activities be innovative, because sometimes you cannot teach students synchronously. For example, you have a timetable for 2 hours. Are you going to speak to the students for 2 hours online? So, so we would like to see how innovative you are in making your students involved. Remember, Dr. Andy mentioned just now, we are looking at student-centered, student-directed learning, meaning that they are going to do the work, all right? They are going to be able to learn independently using the system, all right? So, and then how you do assessment, and then the ODL system also need to have analytics, okay? How we monitor the student activities, their logs, and then if they have problem, the support system will be able to check, okay, their activity and logs. All right, next. All right, so for ODL support, we are hoping that to see there are help desk, there are monitoring. Okay, so there are facilities, support facilities for the students. Students will be able to give feedbacks. And then also we should, the institution should have security system for assessment, for results, for vettings and so on. Okay, if let's say the vettings is being done online, we would like to see how secure is the vetting process. Okay, it is different from the face-to-face vetting and so on. So the security is the major things here. So it should be also included in the intervention of the ODL system. Okay, next. So to conclude, okay, we also looking at the ODL alignment. All right, the PLO, the TLO, the teaching and learning and assessment should align. It should be ready, okay? It should be ready for everybody, for all the stakeholders, the academic staff, students, support staff, and then it should also be reliable. Okay, should be also be reliable, ready and reliable to be able to connect everybody in the system. All right, in the ODL system. So we are not only looking at the system by itself, what we are looking at the activity, the connection between everything for the program. Okay, so I think that's it for me. Thank you very much. Back to Dr. Dalbir. Thank you.
Thank you to Prof. Azidah. A very good presentation, especially on the technology, ODL technology. Another one more thing, thank you to Prof. Andy, Tuan Haji Jamaluddin, and again to Prof. Azidah for the valuable insight on ODL. In conclusion, ODL is the new frontier of teaching and learning, whereby it holds great potential for the higher education industry. And you see, the COVID-19 pandemic crisis has actually is a blessing in disguise, whereby before this we will take a back seat for ODL program, but now more and more institutions are looking at methods on conducting ODL program. Okay, as we speak now, various higher education institutions are already embracing ODL. However, the emphasis on the quality assurance aspect should be given for the management and assessment of an ODL program accreditation. Besides that, a proper change management is also vital. It's also vital for HAP, higher education providers, who wish to embrace ODL, especially on the digital technology. But then, one point to ponder upon, how can we work together for a common cause, since we are in this education industry together, to ensure proper management and assessment of ODL program accreditation, probably through MyQAN. So finally, it has been a great pleasure, a great morning speaking to all of you today. Okay, probably now we can move on to the question and answer session. Okay, probably the first question will be directed for Prof. Andy. Yeah, you seem to be very popular now, most highest rating for this particular question. Okay, how to ensure the validity of ODL student assessments? Prof. Andy?
All right. Thank you, Dr. Dalbir. I think to answer this question, perhaps we got to be mindful that when we talk about ODL, it's just like any traditional program. The only difference would be the delivery mode. And from this delivery mode, it changes a whole spectrum of activities along the learning process of the student. So coming back to this question, how do we ensure the validity of ODL students' assessment? Perhaps a question that we need to ask ourselves would be this. When we talk about assessment, we usually talk about two main principles of assessment. Number one, as you correctly pointed out, those people that have raised this question is on the validity, and the other one is reliability. So whether it is a traditional mode of assessment or an assessment embedded in the ODL program, we need to look at these two very important assessment principles, because these assessment principles will be guiding us onto how we can assess students either through the formative or through the summative assessment. So when we talk about validity, again, what do we actually understand by the validity? if all of you are very familiar with these two principles, I think the keywords that would be appearing in our mind would be validity is the ability of the assessment to measure what it is supposed to measure. So indirectly, what we are saying is that the methods that we adopt or instruments that we use have to be aligned to the LOs and its coverage. For example, if the LO is about the psychomotor skills, then your assessment should be designed in a way that is able to assess the psychomotor skills. It cannot be designed to assess a cognitive skills in that manner. So coming back to the validity, one is the assessment method and instruments must be properly aligned to the LOs. And with that, we need to look at various forms of assessment. So this is the second part of validity. The third part, if we want to ensure validity of the student assessment, the other thing that is tied to validity, I think, if I correctly remember, is the moderation process. We need another expert to moderate whatever assessment methods that have been proposed or the rubrics or test specification table. So if we have put these three things in place, then we are able to say this is a valid instrument. So in ODL, we are also talking about other alternative assessment tools. And I think this is also in the MQA guidelines. I think there is a guideline called assessment of students. Just a guideline by itself. It's not a integral part of the COPA ODL, but a separate guideline that spells out what are the possible assessment methodology that we can explore. And it's not always about written exam, final exam, or even tugasan assessment. We can look at alternative assessment like a peer review in ODL. You can also look at what we would say e-portfolio, where the portfolio is a collection of documentary evidence on the learning process of the students. And there are many other types when we talk about assessment in ODL. So what is important here, again, coming back to this question, to sum up the points that I've just highlighted is, ask ourselves again, how do I ensure validity, and what is actually in the principles of validity, and then tie it to the various assessment modality that are present or available in the new era here. So I hope this has answered the first question.
Thank you, Prof. Andy. A very good feedback, because why? The validity of the assessments are very important to be considered, because why? The assessments will lead to the attainment of the learning outcome, and the attainments or the concept of measuring the attainment of the learning outcome are the sole principle of OBE, outcome-based education. So can we go for the second question? The second question is an open question. It is directed to all panelists here. Okay. How can we ensure that ODL will be accessible for those who are disadvantaged, marginalized? For example, disabled or poor. Anyone of the panelists?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Nama, go ahead. Go ahead, Tuan Haji Jamal.
Okay, Assalamualaikum and very good morning, almost afternoon, almost 12. Okay, this one, if we go back to the question, how we ensure ODL will be accessible for those who are disadvantaged or marginalized. Okay, if we refer back to history of ODL, ODL is begin in 1913, begin in 1913. whereby you should begin with the distance learning, yeah. About all the time, long time before, those who are stay in remote area, they still can get education, but through hostel, yeah, hostel. So this is a distant learning. Is how the history begin. And then in Malaysia, if you remember, in 70s, 80s, we have the Adabi Gaya Pos, right? You learn through hostel. This is an example of distant learning. So, if you look back, the current situation now is COVID-19. Yeah, we noticed that some of the students don't have accessible to this internet, don't have this. And one of the way that we can help the student who disadvantage of this one, we can, what I can do is we physically printed the material, mail to them, so they can learn, continue studying. Yeah. And another way is very high level, which is whereby it's involve the policy of the government. So what the government can do is can provide a better connectivity to the remote area, or give incentive. For example, free incentive in terms of internet connectivity, or to this incentive or loan or some sort like this subsidy for them to buy for the laptop, for example. Yeah, I think that's all from me. Thank you.
Any one of the panelists that you want to add in? Yeah? Prof. Andy, you were saying something just now?
Actually, some of the points resonate. The views expressed by Tuan Haji Jamal. Now, we know that the core intention of ODL is actually to open access or widening access to higher education. So when we widen access to higher education, meaning we are actually looking at this so-called disadvantaged group or marginalized group. When we first introduced ODL in Malaysia, our primary purpose, if I correctly remember, was to give a second chance to people who may have missed out the tertiary education because of personal commitment. Take, for example, in a family of, let's say, 6 or 7, many years ago, the anak sulung would usually won't have the opportunity to pursue higher education because they got to help the parents to earn a living and to support the family. So the intention was giving this category of learners a second chance to pursue higher education. And the other aspect of marginalized group, I think there have been a lot of initiatives, effort that have been undertaken by this intergovernmental group called Commonwealth of Learning. They have been going out to help those marginalized groups, like promoting gender inequality and helping those women, especially in India, Africa, that have been suppressed because of their status as women, by giving them opportunity to pursue education. So they have come up with many ways of promoting higher education to them, like what Tuan Haji Jamal said, printing of the course handbook modules, or even providing them with a simple tablet that have been uploaded with all the learning materials. So these are for this marginalized group of women. And the other one would be probably helping this, farmers that may not be educated, which may need all the knowledge or rather skills in upgrading their yield, their harvest, their results. So this is how they help the marginalized group. And of course, the other marginalized group would be the disabled, people with special disabilities. It could be sight, it could be hearing, it could be movement, and etc. So when we look at ODL helping this marginalized group, especially those people with special disabilities, we need to look at innovations. We need to look at technology to assist learning. For example, if I have I'm confronted with challenges of reading small little text, then the text can be blown up, or if I may not be endowed with the senses of sight since birth, then it is where the text can be converted to audio and etc. So there are many different adoption of technologies and tools that have been created to help this marginalized group. And I hope this has strengthened the understanding on the response provided by Tuan Haji as well. Yeah.
Yes, Prof. Azidah, what is your say on this?
Okay, thank you, Dr. Dalbir. So I think, my answer will be quite similar to Dr. Andy and Tuan Haji, because I think when we say about disadvantaged and marginalized people, we are looking at everybody. Okay, everybody. And then, for example, the disabled people, we have many types of disabilities and so on, and even the UNESCO already developed a policy on IOER, inclusive open educational resources, whereby when we develop the OER, open educational resources, we must consider the inclusivity of people, disabled people, or poor, or everybody in the world. So meaning that actually Malaysia, the policy of IOER was introduced by Malaysian institution, whereby we tried to look at different needs of different people, and ODL actually should consider the differences between everybody in the world, and also look at the blue ocean strategies. Okay, and then we are looking at the sustainable development goals, shift 4, whereby we are looking at quality education. When we say about quality education, we are looking also at ODL, because sometimes people think that ODL is just delivering teaching and learning online, using a system. Okay, we can see during the COVID-19, what we did to our students who hasn't got any internet access. What do we do actually? All right. What about our students who are in Sabah? Okay, we can see the students climb up trees, for example, right? So how do we actually try to make our content, our teaching and learning accessible to the students? So I think this is the responsibilities of everybody, not ODL, but everybody, because we need to be able to cater the need of everybody, so that however we people will say, what is the purpose of ODL if you cannot think about everybody outside there? But using a system will not be able to actually cater the need of everybody. We still need to use conventional, use postage, as Tuan Haji mentioned just now. We in USM actually we use riders. We appoint riders to set the notes to students who are who won't be able to use, who are not access, their internet is bad, so we send riders to send the teaching materials, CDs to the students. So I think it is the responsibilities of everybody, not only ODL. All right. Thank you.
Thank you to all panelists. I do believe that equal opportunity should be given to all, and no one should be left behind, especially in getting their higher education. That's something important to for us to put in mind. Okay, probably can we move on to the third question? Okay, this is for Prof. Andy. Can the published textbook, such as Pearson, McGraw-Hill, or any other publisher, to be made as SIM? Prof. Andy?
Yes, thank you, Dr. Dalbir. Now, this would be probably like if we have a textbook as the main text, I would say this will probably, you'll be requiring a course guide which is aligned to what is embedded in the textbook. Because if you remember in any SIM that we spoke about, one of the criteria or criteria of a SIM, it must be self-explanatory. Now, in this domain of self-explanatory, it is about how we craft the text so that the text is written in a conversational writing style. It's just like in the absence of the cikgu is actually in the textbook relating, explaining those items to the reader. So I believe in a usual textbook, you don't have all that. You don't have all these elements like the self-contained or self-explanatory. Self-contained is another characteristics of SIM, whereby all the learning resources that are required in a particular course are already in that particular SIM. So if you were to ask this question saying, can published textbooks to be made as a SIM? I think it can, but it will demand a lot of work from the institution. Indirectly, your SIM, because SIM, you can either create the SIM on your own, that means right from the scratch, or you can adopt the materials from other institutions, adopt and then adapt the content and turn it into a SIM. The third one is you wrap around the textbook. So which means your SIM here is wrapping around this textbook. It is rather of wrapping rather than converting this textbook into a SIM. Because if you convert a textbook into a SIM, it's going to be very labor intensive, and sometimes the content of the textbook may not fully, justify the learning outcomes of the course. All right. We have come across institutions where they have worked with Pearson, they have worked with McGraw-Hill, that they they use this textbook as the main reference for the course in the institution. So in the textbook, it's actually printed the name of the publisher plus the name of the institution. And this is the model of wrapping around the textbook. SIM wrapping around the textbook. But you still need that so-called course guide where you wrap around this textbook. You cannot entirely depend on this textbook saying, students now, course unit 1, this is what we're going to look at, read the textbook there. No, cannot. You really need the course guide to wrap around this textbook. Right? Dalbir,
okay, thank you, Prof. Andy. Very good.
Can I add something?
Yes, you may, Prof. Azidah.
Okay, all right. So, I would like to add some more on the self-instructional materials, because if, let's say, an institution would like to make or to develop self-instructional materials, they should actually look at you can actually use the textbook, but however the SIM is actually beyond textbooks. Okay, when we talk about SIM, we are looking at the content, okay, the interaction, okay, the interaction between the students and the content. Also, the assessment need to be included in the SIM, meaning that it is a very comprehensive, whereby the student will be able to do it without the teachers being there, without the lecturers being there. So meaning that if I have actually looked at I think McGraw Hills, they actually offer a system whereby the books can be converted into a system whereby there are also assessment included, interactive assessment, interactive activity inside the McGraw-Hill system. So meaning that students, when they are looking at one topic, they will be able to do a very comprehensive activity based on the topic, as well as they will be able to achieve the learning outcomes on the topic. So if let's say you are just publish a textbook, it won't be adequate for SIM, but the SIM need to be inclusive of content as well as assessment and interactivity activities, which is student-centered. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. Azidah. Thank you, Prof. Andy. And probably we can move on to our last question.
Dr. Dalbir,
Yes.
is it okay if I add something here?
Yes. Go ahead. Yeah,
Okay.
we really appreciate.
Yeah, this become a very interesting discussion on the SIM.
Yes, I'm glad.
Material. Okay. As mentioned by Dr. Andy just now, when you deliver a course, you need to be very clear on the learning outcome, which Bloom just told me I'm going to address. It could be cognitive domain, psychomotor domain, or effective domain. I will quote an example. If you want to address on the psychomotor domain, which is the skills to do it, what we as a lecturer, what we do as a tutor do is perhaps good we video it and show it in the video and with some explanation. Because now the teenagers right now, they are very good in IT, they are very IT savvy. They get information exactly from the YouTube, from the Google.
Especially the
Zenjack, yes, especially with respect to skill, very fast they can learn it very fast. So I learned my experience. I'm staying in a village in Kampung, somewhere in Bota Canon. My friend, they are working as a carpenter or small scale contractor. How they learn the skill, they get the skill, they learn it through YouTube, and then they do it. They do it. When they construct the house, they do it. And it's a success. So it depends which psychomotor domain, which block technique we're going to address. If skill is good, we can video it. If knowledge or cognitive domain, then in terms of slide or with some animation, or if effective domain is quite difficult for us. It's challenging for us to make it become sing. Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah.
Yes, I do agree. Especially the Generation Z, they are the generation which are born with ICT. ICT around their life. So probably a different approach should be catered for Generation Z. Okay. Thank you. Probably can we move on to our last question? Question number 4. Our last question. Okay, our last question. Is the ODL program has research module? Must the research module comply that more than 80% of SLT of the module is delivered via ODL? If yes, how can research be conducted through ODL? This is a question for Prof. Andy.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Dalbir. I think there are two parts to this question here. While reading this, I was filtering it into two compartments. Number one, if the ODL program has a research module, I'm not sure whether when the question was raised, was it targeting at the undergraduate program or the postgraduate program? In the postgraduate program,
we can focus on a postgraduate program.
If it's on a postgraduate program and this is definitely whether it is a mixed mode or a taught coursework-based master program. And it is definitely not the full-fledged research-based program where we are talking about the Master of Philosophy or PhD. So this 80% ruling, as you remember, goes back to the number of courses that in a program that should have. Only then the program will be deemed as a ODL program. Remember, we were saying that 60% of the courses must be delivered through ODL. And when we talk about delivery through ODL, yes, we did mention, especially in the COPA ODL, stating that for a course to be deemed as an ODL course, at least 80% of the SLT must be delivered through the ODL mode. And we have to understand ODL here doesn't mean it is only about online. It is about open distance learning. And this open distance learning, it could be, for example, it could be also in remote areas where there is no online facilities. It could be delivered through physical face-to-face contact. So the question here says, how do we comply that more than 80% of the SLT module is delivered via ODL? Because when we talk about research module, it is about the quantitative analysis and qualitative analysis, right? And there are certain institutions that tie this course or this courses, quantitative or qualitative analysis research methodology, to the project that the students will embark on. They will probably treat this as a proposal stage where the students will come up with a proposal, do a proposal, and suggest all the analysis tools to be embedded in the program. So if the question here merely says, how do we comply, then you can definitely comply on the research methodology, because research methodology would not need hands-on, all right? Majority is about application and the cognitive part, not so much on psychomotor, right? Then if yes, how can research be conducted ODL? There are many institutions that we have seen preparing this research module in a SIM, self-instructional module, a lot, all right? So when they conduct this research module, they would have some component of face-to-face interaction. And this face-to-face interaction can be physical or can be virtual. So it's entirely up to the institution. And when it comes to assessment of this research methodology, again, this goes back to what we mentioned just now, the validity of the assessment instrument. Some of them may be given a case study, some of them may be given some form of project where they can adopt the quantitative or qualitative tools in the research methodology. So yes, the answer, this is definitely doable. We have seen a lot of open universities, not in Malaysia, but in elsewhere, are adopting, running this course in an ODL mode. Dr. Dalbir.
Yes, probably Tuan Haji Jamal, do you want to add in?
Oh, I have no experience in this. Yeah, it's okay. Go to next panel, please.
Prof. Azidah?
Okay, thank you, Dr. Dalbir. So I would like to add a little bit on this research module. All right, so let's say we are doing a coursework, for example. Maybe this is my assumption lah. Okay, so for example, if let's say the program has a component of research, coursework for masters, for example, master by coursework or master by mixed mode, and one of the course should be done by research. Okay, maybe 8 credits or 20 credits, like 20 credits of research. Okay, so I think the answer, the question is, how can research be conducted ODL? Okay, so the ODL part is the delivery of doing the research. It is not the interaction between the teachers, the lecturers, and the student. Okay, it is how the students interact with the lecturers in order to do the research. But the research can be done face to face. It is the student activity to conduct the research, whether they are conducting it online or they conducted it face to face. In the industry, for example, it can be done. The ODL part is where the students interact with the lecturers so that they will know what to do in the research. Okay, so meaning that the research can be done face to face. You can go and collect data somewhere. Okay, in the industry, you can go to school and collect data, but the interaction, meaning that how you consult with your supervisors can be done online. 80% can be done online, and you can do 20% with face to face if you would like to. If not, you can do 100% interaction with the supervisors via online. So the research can be done up to you, up to the students. They can do it face to face. They can do whatever is experiment, for example. They can do it by themselves, or they can go to other institution to do it. However, the interaction between the students and the supervisors will be done online. All right. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Prof. Andy, Prof. Azidah, and Tuan Haji Jamal. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, this will be the end of the question and answer session. For your information, despite having a lot of questions from the audience here, from the viewers, we can only take in 4 questions, due to time limitation. But then, do not worry, you may post your questions in our Facebook. We will try our best to answer. And for your information, MyQAN, or you may contact MyQAN, or you may contact the panelists for further session or any kind of consultation in the future. Okay, so thank you.